Tonight on the Black Channel. Well, it's been a full week of getting things done, and believe it or not, we're just getting started. The Black Channel is live. Unapologetic, unadulterated, and absolutely uncompromising. Greetings, brothers and sisters from around the world, and welcome back to the home, the haven, the stronghold, the everlasting superfortress of intelligent black thought. We are the Black Media, and this is the Black Channel, and I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, the voice of Black America, the Black Authority, broadcasting to you live from the only historically black college and university of higher education and learning in the cosmos. You are, of course, welcome to join us. And join us you shall, because on tonight's program here, just in case you've been living under a rock, although if you're out there in California, you might be dodging wildfires, so I certainly understand that. As I promised this week, we've been going to work on a number of different things here. New York in particular has been ground zero for a lot of chicanery going on. They're lynching black folk left and right up there. Jordan Neely, Robert Brooks. There's been a situation that's bothered a lot of folks, and it should. I've been warning people for years that that's the whole issue right there. The moment you want to start partying and bull jiving, they start asserting themselves, and there will be none too nice about it. So this week, we made it a point to go ahead and pull up there in New York. We made it a point to go ahead and do that and start asking folk where they stand on these things and start talking to them about where they stand on these things. First person we went to go talk to is Mr. Brisport. He's an assemblyman up there and whatnot. And I just decided that if you're going to go and talk to him and whatnot, let them know that this matters to you here. So I decided that when they had their meeting over there in Brooklyn, he showed up for a event over there that he was hosting, and our people showed up there, and as you can see, I think we kind of lit the block up just a little bit there when you take a look at it. So yeah, it was the middle of the night over there, but I think you can tell we kind of lit the block up a little bit. Yeah, it's kind of hard to miss us. Kind of hard to miss us over there. So brief aside, this was all really last minute. I've benefited so much from the last decade of, hosting events and screenings and billboards and ads and things, especially in New York, which New York is, in many ways, it's an easy place to do business in that there's pretty much anything you can name they have. But the hard part becomes organizing it and executing it. So, had a company up there, thanks to the brothers and sisters who gave me some leads on that. Had a company up there that we contacted for that. And I'd contacted them the previous day, made sure we had everything to them and everything. And I was like, okay, this is either going to go well or it ain't going to go at all. So, when it was time for the thing to happen and stuff, I'm like, where in the world is the truck I paid for? So I just jumped up here and I paid for it, and it's like I say, it's one of those things where I'm all the way in Louisiana. I was unable to actually get there physically to New York. Winter storm was coming through. It was last minute, and it was just going to be too difficult to do that and then have to turn around. I got a lot I'm taking care of here. I'm expecting to have the finished edits for 8 a.m. done this week. So there's just a whole lot that was going on. And so I made some phone calls, threw some money around, got everything scheduled, and then the day of, okay, the truck is late. So all my people are there, Brisport is there, the thing has started, and my truck is still not there yet. So it was like an hour into things. They were like an hour and a half late. So everybody was already there, everything had already started. I'm sitting here just, steam's billowing out my ears. Haven't gotten anything yet. So they show up about half the time there later, okay. So they didn't get to see it when they were going in, but they definitely got to, as you can tell, they definitely saw it when they came out. I think he might have taken a picture with it and whatnot. And for those of you who didn't see it before, this is what it looked like when you got up close to it. As you can see, it has more than just one side of it, so all the way around, and you can see exactly what it says. I'm not here to give lip service to these things. I am not here to give lip service to it. I'm here to give real service. So this was what we worked on earlier this week, but we weren't done yet. We weren't done yet because, you see, in addition to Assemblyman Brisport, there was also Assemblywoman Latrice Walker. She had an event here. I want to say him and her actually had an event, and we decided to come through. Now, I want to apologize for this in advance because I'm having the devil's own time getting this thing to play properly. My players, for some reason, I don't know what it is about the file format or something, and I don't have time to sit here and try to re-encode it. So my apologies in advance because the video is going to be sideways. My apologies for that in advance, but Assemblywoman Walker was there this week. And so we decided, well, this is the time for us to put those tax dollars to work. So we want to go ahead and have a word with her as well. So we went over, and I want to go ahead and play this video for you here now. This is how that exchange went when my folks came and talked to her.
Ms. Walker, question.
Yeah.
I see you tweeted about the Brooks
Who are
situation. My name is Derek Walker.
Hi,
I'm a regular
Derek.
guy, one of your constituents.
Well, why he all got a little bit, you know?
So I wanted to ask about...
No, who's he?
That's
Why he got his camera in my face? Explain yourself.
So we're here. We just want to get your opinion on the Brooks situation. We're not with any affiliation. I'm just a young black male that does not want to die. That's who I am. What I wanted to know from you was, how do you feel about an anti-black hate crime bill?
I think it's necessary.
Yes, ma'am.
But at the end of the day, it's unnecessary, right? Because we shouldn't have to, right? We should not be dying in this way, in this capacity, now or ever. I do think that there have been a number of hate crime bills. The question becomes, were we included in those bills? And to the extent that we have not been, do you mean state or federal?
State. Well, we can start with New York State, but New York is like the bellwether for every state. Everyone follows us. So.
I wish.
Well,
I don't know if they do anymore.
Well, we kind of set the standard.
So are you asking me to introduce one?
Can you? That's what I'm asking you.
I can. Let's maybe sit down and meet and talk about like what would it involve, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Would it be a criminal bill, or is this something that can be a civil bill?
Just similar to the COVID Crimes 19 Act or the Anti-Asian Hate Crime Bill. Something just like that, essentially.
You know, and it's so funny because I was having a conversation with some folks the other day about whether or not the Anti-Asian Crime Bill is just restricted to the Asian community.
Asians.
Because from what I understand, that it's not.
Well,
That it also includes
It has
other
their name on
communities
it.
as well.
it might in spirit, but
The
being used for them.
behind it
the
does
idea
not.
behind it, the actual push for it, it was mentioned by several different prominent outlets, HuffPost, CNBC, Reuters, AP. They all were calling it the Anti-Asian Hate Crime Bill. The Congresswoman out of, the senator out of Hawaii.
Okay, but
She
the
herself was
Congresswoman
also-
is,
No, this was a federal.
Shout out to my man, One Brother, for being on top of his game. If you all want to know what I was talking about Tuesday, shout out to my man, One Brother, on top of his game. So just as this, folks, when you are informed about this, we've been doing this for summers and winters. Everybody should be ready for this. He could sit here and run down the whole list of news outlets. Ma'am, this was called an Asian hate crime bill. He's going down and naming the names and everything. So let's put that to the side. Well, it's something for everybody. Obviously not. Obviously it isn't. You haven't seen anybody else being able to use this. They only are using it in reference to Asians. So shout out to him for following my instructions and being on top of it and just rattling off the list. At that point right there, ain't nothing else you can say. You're either going to say yay or nay. Very good work.
They all were calling it the Anti-Asian Hate Crime Bill. The Congresswoman out of, the senator out of Hawaii.
okay, but
She herself was
Congresswoman
also-
is,
No, this was federal.
Right, the congresswoman is federal. But I thought Grace Ming was also.
She ended up supporting it later.
Okay,
Yes.
okay.
But the original.
Very good. Very good.
Join me, and I will complete your training.
I can't do nothing there but salute that. On top of it, when we say intelligent black society, when we say the black media, this is what I mean right there, that you know this better than they do. You know it at least as well or better than they do. This is what it means to have competent operatives, competent spokespeople sitting there for you. And all of us should be equally knowledgeable. It shouldn't be one person know it and everybody else sitting around bull jiving. All of us should be able to do this. Because when they see that everybody's on the same page and everyone's equally informed, it makes people a whole lot less likely to ignore that.
Of Hawaii.
Okay, but
She
the
herself was
congresswoman
also.
is,
No, this was federal.
right, the congresswoman is federal. But I thought Grace Ming was also.
She ended up supporting it later.
Okay,
Yes.
okay.
But the original Hiniro, she's out of Hawaii. She was the one who pushed it
The
first.
senator.
Yes.
So, you know, they have to pass it in the Senate, but
Correct.
also in the House of Representatives.
Correct.
And Congresswoman Ming is in the representative. And so at the end of the day, I think absolutely, right? When people know when people know me and they know my DNA and things that I fight for, of course I fight for everything blackity black, 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 black.
That's why we're here. Yes, that's why
And
we're
so
here.
the idea, I think, with that is really much like, how do we pivot this from, you're saying, from a state level, but then also to raise it up to congressional? You know, the Congresswoman Clark is now, who's from Brooklyn, is the chair of the Congressional Black Caucus. And so maybe like another meeting could be with her as well. And maybe like, let's do a meeting so we're not like
Is it
talking about
possible to
this
set
at
up a
an
meeting?
11 degrees.
She says, so we're not out here in 11 degrees. And while I certainly do sympathize, because like I said, I told y'all earlier this week, it's New York. You got the coats with the little fur around the neck. And for those of us from the southern United States, it's like, yeah, why as a man, I'm like, why do I need all that? That's a little too fluffy and a little flamboyant. Then you get up to New York and realize, oh, that's why they have those things. You got to have some bear fur up there. That's why you got that, because New York is brutal. But we were still on site. So I want to send a big shout out here, not just to them, but I definitely want to send a big shout out to my man, Sage. Thank you very much for being on top of the game. He's the one you hear talking to her the most, but also one brother is sitting there as well. So between the two of them, just that simple, just that quick right there. Folks, you got to understand, I've seen this here before, out of sight, out of mind. This idea that you're going to sit at home and stuff like that and sit on Twitter, that's good for talking to each other. But these other groups, that's not the way they operate, man. They know where your people at. They know where they are. They knocking on doors. They show up somewhere and somebody's hollering at them. So there's a whole bunch of folk out there who you got to watch it on the internet. They want to sit up here and pretend that they can mystically, magically change things. And what they really mean is they're going to sit at home and hope that things get better or not hope that it gets better. So when I talked about it this week about meeting up with these people and talking to folk and initiating contact and saying, hey, this is what it is, and speaking it directly without compromise, and not backing down from it. You're not stumbling and stuttering. Well, could we have, something like, minorities or people of color, hate crime being? None of that. This is how you start conversations. If nothing else, this is how you start conversations and start dialogues and start public discussions. Not just by talking to each other, but you know what? Hey, these folks are out here in the streets and they moving around. Take out the time to go say, okay, one or two of us got to be there. At least one or two of us. Now, Tuesday, it was a whole lot more than one or two. But even to follow up on it, one or two of us got to be there. Just that simple. So they handed out some cards and things like that, and we're definitely going to be in touch. But we're just starting. We're just starting. Now, you're going to hear you hear a lot of things from a lot of people. You don't see nothing like this from the old black media. They're going to tell you everything's fine. You don't hear the old dead black media telling you that we need anything except we need more Democrats to vote for. And in reality, it's like, wait a minute, let's go ahead and talk to them and see, okay, what exactly is it that you're pushing or promoting that we can get behind? That was one of the things in particular that I debriefed some of my folks on before they went to go and speak to them. I said, what you want to do here is just go ahead and tell them, hey, this is what we're looking for, and how can we help you to promote that? We are looking to have a black hate crime bill. Oh, I'm in favor of that. Oh, good. How can we help you, Assemblywoman Walker, with that? Since we're both on the same page, we want that and you want that. Great. What can we do to help you get that over the finish line? What can we do for that? Now that we've established we're all on the same page. No venting, no going on and on. So consider this to have been a workshop in how you initiate these types of movements and bills and things. Consider this to be a workshop for that. No venting, no going on and on. Very quickly, get right to the point. As you can see from the video here, the whole conversation was 3 minutes. Well, less than 4 minutes. Less than 4 minutes. Don't have to do the DL Hughley thing or nothing. Less than 4 minutes. Follow the game plan, and that's the way it goes. Now, let's be very, very clear. Do not expect things to be given to you, because that is not going to occur. Do not expect things to be easy here, because that's not the way that works. Do not expect it to be handed to you, because that's not what they're really interested in. We are only going to get what we demand. If we insist on it, then we're going to get more action. If we're lax about it, folks are hoping that goes away, because we are the most troublesome people. What we're looking for and what we're talking about is the most troublesome thing. There's plenty of folks out there who do not want us to have anything, and they like the fact that you are in a system that allows you to harm us and kill us with impunity. They are also very well aware that something like this that happens in a place like New York or California sends shockwaves that go across the country, and other folks start following suit. So while you have some folks on the internet telling you to pray about this, or see if you can set up your plebiscite, or see if you can call the UN, I just wanted you to be aware that, by the way, let these other folks sit up here and fool you and bamboozle you into thinking that these are huge things and you have to be some huge political organization. No, you just have to be on code. Really. Because things happen. When you start pushing on these things and you do not back off of it, things happen. I want you all to be aware, things occur. This is from the Washington Post. In the last 24 hours, for those of you who were not aware, a little bit symbolic here, but there is an importance to it. The Justice Department corrects the legal record on systemic Tulsa race massacre. The article says a coordinated attack by thousands of white people in 1921 that led to the slaughter of hundreds of black residents in the Greenwood district of Tulsa was the result of systematic, racially motivated violence, the Justice Department said Friday in a new report that sought to correct the federal government's legal record after more than a century. Authorities said a recent 4-month re-examination of evidence, in the case, known as the Tulsa Race Massacre, found that what an investigator described a month after the attack as spontaneous violence was, in fact, a coordinated effort by white perpetrators to decimate a thriving community known as Black Wall Street. The attackers organized and aided by law enforcement, shot, beat, and arrested black residents while burning and looting 35 city blocks over several hours on May 31st, 1921, the Justice Department concluded in the 126-page report. While authorities promised to help rebuild the community, but instead put up barriers to financial assistance and offered no avenues for legal redress, investigators said. This is something that continues to this very day. Jason, here's where you get some of the bumbling, fumbling, mumble mouth, crayon chewing crack babies who try to jump up here. Let me talk. Nigga, you can't even spell. Why do you want to speak? You think you wisecracking. Why does this matter? Why does it matter? It matters for a very simple reason, brothers and sisters from around the world. It matters for a very simple reason. Jewish people have never allowed the world to forget what happened to them in Germany. They've come to America to tell you what happened to them in Germany. I'll be damned if we are ever going to let anyone forget or disregard what happened to us here. And they have spent the better part of the last century claiming that what we said was not what happened. And what we've let them know is that this isn't a temporary thing that's going to go away. We're not venting. We're not blowing off steam. This is a blood debt that we will never let go. We are going to be at you until the end of eternity behind this. But we will never let this go. You will not be able to walk away from this. You are not going to disregard it or pretend it did not occur, and you will be held accountable. We don't give a damn if we is here till the sun burns out. We're never walking away from this. So just expect to be going at it about this until the end of time. We're never letting this go. Never. Well, it's years later. We still at you. Decades later. We still on your ass. It's over a century later. It can be a century from now. We're still gonna be at you. Don't think that you are ever gonna wake up another morning ever again and we ain't right there going at you again. Get you a good night's rest for the few nights that we ain't on your ass. Cause when the sun comes up in the morning, we coming around the block right back at you one more again. This is a blood debt that cannot be ignored and will not be ignored. And don't tell yourself that you're gonna run out the clock. We'll stall and wait around and wait till everybody's dead and gone, and then we'll go ahead and let it go. That's not gonna be allowed. You are going to, all the folks who told us that them folk ain't never going to acknowledge it and take responsibility. Well, now there it is. The federal government is officially saying that our version of the events is what occurred and that this was a white supremacist uprising against a black citizenry. And there are two places in particular that have particular spiritual significance for me. Greenwood, Archer, and Pine, which you know is the Tulsa white supremacist race massacre, and Wilmington, North Carolina. Those two in particular. These were, and they're not the only ones, but to me they have a specific significance. You take a look at what's happening in Wilmington today. That belongs to us. That was a black city and a black government that was violently overthrown by militant white supremacists, and neither the city nor the state nor the federal government, a federal government that just a few decades earlier had fought a civil war, and yet that federal government was unconcerned about the sovereignty of a city on its domain. You are not allowed to just say, well, we don't like what the city council is doing, so me and a few of my friends, or a few hundred of our friends, we're going to go grab some guns, and we're going to disperse the city council at gunpoint. We don't give a damn what the election said. We are going to disperse the city government at gunpoint. Now, no state or federal government is supposed to condone or allow or abide that kind of thing. That the duly elected government of the people, now some guys with some guns show up and, oh, well, the guys with the guns said that they didn't like what the voters said, so you gotta go. And they have been in a systematic, conscious campaign of covering this up ever since. We showed you in Bruce's Beach. We're not letting that go. We're never going to let that go. Not now, not ever. So don't lie to yourselves in white supremacist land and tell yourself that there's a clock to run out. Justice doesn't run on a time clock. Justice runs on a guillotine, not a time clock. So you can lie to yourself and tell yourself that you're gonna wait us out. Buddy, you can't wait out black empowerment. There is no waiting us out. We're gonna be here. We're gonna keep being here. We're gonna keep coming back. We're going to keep showing up. This is not a temporary summer thing. This is the new normal. Tulsa is just one of our crusades. It is just one among many. And what you really don't like is that Tulsa was not something that was taught in schools. See, that's seizing power. Tulsa wasn't something that any of us were taught in our history books when we were in elementary school or middle school or high school. That was something that we had to research and invoke ourselves. The school system did not give that to us, and that is the greatest thing that happened to us in that regard. That was power that we took for ourselves. And we have been in charge of being the custodians and the researchers and the enforcers of it ever since. We didn't need a white school, a white government, a white media, a white journalist. We didn't need any of them to do this. We made Tulsa an issue. With some folks at the beginning saying that that event didn't even occur. Then they had to say, okay, well, the event actually did occur. It didn't occur the way you said. Well, it wasn't that big of a thing. Okay, it was that big of a thing, but it was a race riot. Okay, it was. Now they're saying it wasn't a race riot. It was white supremacists. It was everything you said the whole damn time. After antebellum slavery, the black folk who pulled themselves up by their bootstraps, the same ones who built the country, were now pulling themselves up by their bootstraps, and they were doing better financially than their white counterparts. You won't get Ed Blum or Ben Shapiro or their group to sit up here and acknowledge that, by the way, we were doing gangbusters even under a system of white supremacy. We are the only model minority. We're the only people that did not receive any help or assistance. Everybody else got a check, got some land, got assistance. We're the only ones who didn't. The only ones. And this is why you want to cover up and destroy this history. Because this history proves we're the only ones. That's why you want to eliminate it. That's why you want to erase it. Because when you look at the actual facts, hey, there's only one group that actually did it with no help, and what the rest of you are sitting up here eating off of ours. And then when you start talking about Tulsa, you start talking about Rosewood, and you start talking about all the others. We didn't know about Bruce's Beach until the last few years, but there's a bunch of Bruce's Beaches around America. Literally hundreds of Bruce's Beaches around America. That story is our story. That story is the norm. What they were hoping against hope was that they would get up one day and, damn it, all of the people that they did that to would all be dead and gone, and their children would be dead and gone, and the grandchildren would be dead and gone, and that they could just sweep this under the rug and keep it pushing. That's what they've been hoping for this entire time. that we would let it go and that this would disappear and that all of us would die out. And then they could just go ahead and carry on as if nothing occurred. What they've now found out is, well, that's not an option anymore. White supremacy is a religion. So is black empowerment. So waiting us out and stalling for time and hoping folks die off, well, that strategy's not gonna work. That's the significance of this story here. And as you have seen, inch by inch, yard by yard, mile by mile, we're going back and clawing back whole centuries here. It continues to this day. They told you that you're never going to get the federal government to acknowledge even this much. Now they're going back and saying, we're changing the official federal record. We're changing it now. This was a white supremacist uprising that targeted the black citizens. Now, once the federal government acknowledges that this is what occurred, we now move on to the next step. Now that the federal government has acknowledged that this is the version of the events, we move to the next step. Now that you all have stopped arguing over that one, the next step, which is now what you're going to do about it. We're now moving on to the next one. No, we're not going for symbolism. Well, we gave you a concession. We gave you that we agreed that it was white supremacists, yes, and now we're moving on to the next thing. Don't think you're going to kick no crumbs off the table now that you've conceded that. Next. There are a whole bunch of folk who told you what was never going to occur and was never going to happen. They get real quiet when stuff like this comes up. They get real quiet. And just believe me, when we do knock them down in Tulsa and up Wilmington and all the other places, they're going to come back and say, well, bet you can't do it again. Y'all ain't never going to get them to give y'all what they owe you in Tulsa. And when we get that, you ain't going to get them to do it again. And then when you do it twice, you ain't going to get me to do it 3 times the charm. It's going to be that. It's going to be that. Ask yourselves a question here. Why is it that National Action Network does not have this conversation? Why is it that this is not the topic of conversation on MSNBC? Where's Bowling Ball Martin? Tom Joyner and the rest of the clowns, where are they to have this specific conversation here? Very difficult to have this specific conversation here because if you do, you're going to have to start taking a bunch of Democrats to task for it. And those guys are not going to take their employers to task. That's why we are the undesirables. We're the loose cannons because, you see, we were not paid for by the party. We're organized. We're mobilized. But we are not controlled by the party. That's the problem. You have a large group of us who are mobilized and organized, but the party didn't organize us and the party didn't mobilize us. Therefore, the party doesn't control us. So this idea that you're going to throw some tokens out there, some pacifiers, and you're going to throw a few crumbs and then we're going to get up and leave, well, that one's not going to happen. That's what the whole point and the whole idea has been the entire time, that what they would do is throw some crumbs out there, we would vent, and then we would go back home and then be quiet, wait for the next election, and then vote for the lesser of two evils. And then get upset again and take the streets and vent and rinse and repeat. But the idea that we have our own agenda and the idea that we have our own ideas and that we are actually going to push for that, and we're going to push for that, that's important. Now, in the chat room, some folks do not actually understand the significance of it. Some folks don't. But in reality, that's exactly where it needs to be. In reality, that's exactly where it needs to be. What I want to do here, for some of you who may have shown up late, this is what happens when you show up on the program late. We were back in New York. We'd already talked to Assemblyman Brisbort. We'd already talked to him. We'll let him know we're on the scene and exactly what we're looking for. So we got a message that him and Assemblywoman Latrice Walker were going to be showing up at the place a couple of days later. So we came through. I want to play for you. For those of you who are late, we're going to play part of this so that you can hear how the exchange went. And then I'm going to tell you what's next.
Question.
Yep.
Ms. Walker? Question.
Yep.
I see you tweeted about Brooks
Who are you?
situation. My name is Derek Walker.
Hi,
I'm a regular
Derek.
guy, one of your constituents.
Well, why he all got let me see you know.
So I wanted to ask about
No, who's he?
That's
Why he got his camera in my face? Explain yourself.
So we're here. We just want to get your opinion on the Brooks situation. We're not with any affiliation. I'm just a young black male that does not want to die. That's who I am. What I wanted to know from you was, how do you feel about an anti-black hate crime bill?
I think it's necessary.
Yes, ma'am.
But at the end of the day, it's unnecessary, right? Because we shouldn't have to, right? We should not be dying in this way, in this capacity, now or ever. I do think that there have been a number of hate crime bills. The question becomes, were we included in those bills? And to the extent that we have not been, do you mean state or federal?
State. Well, we can start with New York State, but New York is like the bellwether for every state. Everyone follows us. So.
I wish.
Well,
I don't know if they do anymore.
Well, we kind of set the standard.
So are you asking me to introduce one?
Can you? That's what I'm asking you.
I can. Let's maybe sit down and meet and talk about like what would it involve, right?
Yes,
ma'am. Would it be a criminal bill?
I'm so glad she said that. Well, why don't we go ahead and meet so we can discuss what's involved? Well, I am so glad that she said that. And I'm serious when I say that, brothers and sisters. I'm actually serious about that because there's one thing I want us to be very clear about here. The reason why the push for reparations, and particularly out there in California, was so potent was because everybody was on the same page about what we were looking for. That was the whole point. Everyone was on the same page about what we're looking for. Everyone was on the same page about what they expected. So I think that kind of thing is important. Also, you don't want politicians to just jump up and be the ones crafting that. That needs to come from the grassroots so that we make sure exactly what it says. So that it's actually pushing what we intended for it to be. That's the point. That's the point. So what I'm going to do, I will not be all night with it here because I know I definitely run the risk of doing that. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up the Zoom to start taking calls here in a few moments. And when I do, what I'm going to be asking you all here, because I want us all to see what everybody here thinks. I'm going to have you call up on Zoom so you can give three. You'll be allowed. I want you to give 3 items that you say must be in an anti-black hate crime law. What are 3 items that you say must be in it? In a few moments, I'm going to take a very brief commercial, non-commercial break, so you'll have time to go ahead and get that together. But I want to hear, I'm going to open up the Zoom so you all can call in. This is interactive radio. This is interactive black empowerment. And you're going to be able to call in and tell me, in a hate crime, in a anti-black hate crime law, since now you have the ear of some of the legislators in New York State, 3 things, 3 points, 3 items that you say must be in it. Do not be pointing it all in the chat room. The chat room is not the place for that. What I want for you to do is you're going to give me a call up on Zoom. I want you to give me a call up on Zoom. And if you have 3 points that you say must be in there, I want you to go ahead and give us a call up so that you can inform everybody of what that is. In the meantime here, I want to thank everyone, and I do mean everybody who's contributed to tonight's program on PayPal, Super Chat, Venmo, the man Brian Ellis, Cornell Sly, thank you very much for your support. Seven Simone Ham, thank you very much. Here's ma'am. Shout out to Sage Joel. He's doing good work. Him and one brother, the Code Leads. We appreciate that. Rekai Media. Also, Cyberdyne 100. Thank you very much for your support as well. Big shout out here to Miss Nancy King.
I told you all that I was the greatest of all time. I told you today I'm still the greatest of all time.
Absolute sister, we are never letting it go. Cut the check. We appreciate that as well. We're going to go ahead and take a very brief commercial, non-commercial break. When I come back, I'm going to open up the Zoom. When I open up the Zoom, you are invited to give me a call. We're going to have a talk tonight here about what should be specifically what we're looking for in an anti-black hate crime law. Specifically what it is, 3 points that you specifically say must be in that. 3 things you specifically say must be in that. This is the Black Channel.
When you visit MrBeTheTeacher.com, you can get a copy of his award-winning book, Guidelines for the Successful Student. While you're there, grab one of his newest tunes along with fun and educational lyric videos.
Never give up, don't worry, never give up, study. In order to
1 is 2, 2 times 2 is 4, 2 times 3 is 6.
now swap names, he, she, they, and we. Simplify the satanic divide, as the following guide. Money multiplies and shares on what they buy.
You can also acquire his tutoring services via varsitytutors.com or tutor.com. If you wish to speak to Steve Burgess directly, you can do so through MrBeTheTeacher.com.
The Honey Badger and the Mongoose is a children's story for the family of how a honey badger and mongoose fight an evil alliance of venomous cobra snakes and hyenas that overhauls the balance of the savannah. The Big Five. The honey badger demands reparations. Will the Big Five give the honey badger reparations? Can the evil alliance of cobras and hyenas be stopped? The best new price for the hard and soft cover is at www.thehoneyBadgerandthemongoose.com. You can also find this book at Amazon, Audible, and Kindle.
Order yours today to experience all the benefits of Ash Kickin' Body Butter. With skin so smooth and soft, you'll thank us for it. Shop Ash Kickin' online. That's ASHKICKIN.com.
Hi, this is Brenda Starr, creator of Poetry with a Purpose and author of the book Pressed But Not Crushed. Pressed But Not Crushed is an anthology of political poems that address current and historical issues in American descendants of slave population and African American population. The book describes slavery and its residuals, Jim Crow segregation, social depredation, and other relevant issues to American descendants of slaves and African Americans, including the current political climate that does not address our issues.
This is the Black Channel. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, the Black Authority. Very glad to be with you all here this evening as we are discussing pulling up on the political leaders. We've been doing that this week. We made some contact up there in New York after the tragic indoor lynching at Marcy Correctional of Robert Brooks. It was heinous. It was beyond all condemnation. Nobody has been punished. No arrests. What are we doing here? And they're showing you that, by the way, They're going to let it slide as much as they can. As I pointed out here before, would it ever take this long if you grab Governor Hochul? We've been calling folk this week. We've had to put some folk on Front Street because some of them up there, what it's doing is demonstrating that New York has not been carrying that ball properly. Whole bunch of nonsense been going on up there. Whole bunch of it. And that's why I made a point to say some names of some folk here and to point some things out. Assemblyman Jamal Bailey. He didn't have a position. I posted that on my Twitter. On your screens. Posted that on my Twitter after we were talking to these other folk here. Jamal Bailey, well, he doesn't have a position. Robert Brooks gets murdered on camera. And your so-called black assembly people, no, he don't have a position. Really? Now, he didn't just say that he didn't have a position on the hate crime law. He said that he didn't have a position on the killing of Robert Brooks or on the hate crime law. On both. So, of course, I wanted to make sure that the fellow who wants to break his arm patting himself in the back for being a young black male who is not protecting the lives of young black men. By the way, he's far from the only one. There's another one out there that I intend to make contact with here. Eric the Villain Dillon. Damn! Because we are the heroes in this story. And every hero's journey requires a villain, it seems. So Eric the Villain Dillon, Assemblyman from District 54 and the chairman of the Committee on Corrections. So he's supposed to be the person in charge of that, by the way, in the legislature. By the way, and what do you know? Him too. Oh, Robert Brooks, ain't never heard of him. Don't know nothing about that. Oh, I ain't really sure about that. Now, the governor's talked about it. The attorney general's talked about it. The national media's talked about it. And the so-called chairman on the Committee for Corrections, he doesn't know anything about it. Are you kidding me? Oh, yeah. Eric Dillon the Villain. Absolutely. We're going to keep up with him because we want everyone to know who was on the record, what the stakes are, and Eric the Villain Dillon. This is how you let folks know. They're hoping that nobody's paying attention. We paid attention. They're hoping nobody's keeping up with it. We kept up with it. They're hoping the political machine will protect them. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. In the meantime here, we've gone ahead and I've got the phone line, I've got the Zoom lines up. We're asking about the things that you would like to see in a anti-black hate crime bill, hate crime law. 3 components or elements that you say must be in it. We're going to go ahead and just take this from the top. Now, for everybody who is on Zoom, please remember, the only thing that we ask is you make sure you have your camera and your microphone turned on. Just to make sure we don't have any trolling issues. The only thing we require here is make sure that your camera and your microphone are turned on. Anyone who doesn't want to do that, you can go ahead and hop off Zoom. No one's going to see you except for me. I'm the only one who sees you. However, make sure you have your camera and your microphone turned on. Just so we can make sure there are no trolling issues. All right, let's go ahead and jump over here on Zoom. First person we're going to do here, we're going to go ahead and see if we can get Onan up here on Zoom. All right, Onan, you are out late tonight here. What's on your mind?
What's going on, Brother Jason? So just to jump right into it, first off, I think there needs to be a minimum life sentence for any police officer or law officer, LEO, that takes the life of a black person. If you are a law officer, if you're a police officer and you kill a black person who has perpetrated no harm against society, I think you need to get an automatic life sentence. I need that. That needs to be the first thing in the hate crime bill, anti-black hate crime bill. Also reparations. I think reparations need to be paid to foundational Black Americans, and specifically all the hate crimes that we have suffered. I'm talking about not only the physical, but the economic hate crimes in the form of discrimination, political hate crimes, Everything that has been perpetrated against foundational Black Americans, I think that needs to be persecuted too. And the third thing is, I think there needs to be a restoration within the Black community for the hate crimes that have been committed by tethers, by people who come into America from legislation that we support only to undermine and undercut the foundation of Black Americans that fought for their rights to be here. I think all of those three things need to be in a hate crime and a hate crime bill.
Short, simple, to the point. Thank you very much for giving us a call. Let's go ahead and see if we can get Josh up here on Zoom. Let's see if we can get Josh up here on Zoom. We're going to go ahead and give Josh a few more moments here. They're working on their Zimbabwe broadband. All right, Josh, unmute yourself. There you go. All right, Josh, and what do you say?
Right, so the three components I think are critical are prosecutions on the federal level, with federal level prosecutors, no local prosecutors. An independent reporting system, so that when people report a hate crime, they can just do it directly to a database. They don't have to go through local police. And a third thing would be mandatory minimum statutes. That way judges can't try to knock down the time someone gets convicted. So those are my three non-negotiables.
Okay. I would like to address just that first one, just to expound on that a little bit. I can understand why you would want to have that sent directly to the feds. Here's the issue. Remember the McMichaels. We've had a constant, and that's not the only one. We've had a constant issue with the Biden so-called Justice Department. Remember Carolyn Bryant. Biden's Justice Department the states have been more strident about these things than the feds have. So depending on who the president is, you might be handing it to them and they're going to be a whole lot more lenient and be trying to let folk off. So I can understand why you would want to do that. Absolutely. Because in certain places, it might be better to go to the feds than in the South. But based on more recent experiences, it's a bit of a toss-up. I'm not saying you're wrong. You can't be wrong. I asked you for the 3 points, and those are your 3 points. So you're right, no matter what you say. That's your 3 points. That's great. I just wanted to make that observation about that. Just not saying that you're wrong, just saying that was an observation I just wanted to make in regard to that.
Right. Yeah, that's a good observation, too. Yeah, it just depends. I'm in Florida, so
yeah,
I already know.
Yeah, okay. Like I say, in a case like Florida, putting DeSantis and his cronies on the bench is like you stuck between the devil and the deep blue sea. So I can understand. That's what I meant. In certain states, it's like it's going to be a toss up. It's which one do you go with? The lesser of two evils. So very good point in that regard. Very good point. Thank you very much for giving us a call. Makes a good point there. Makes a good point. Let me go ahead and see if I can get Michael up here on Zoom. Let me go ahead and see if I can get Michael up next. All right, we got Michael on Zoom. What do you say, Michael?
I think that there ought to be an automatic prosecution of government officials that are engaged in discrimination, and in case of police, automatic prosecution without pay, and at the state level overseen by the federal, and then suspension of pay. That means while they're going through their court proceedings, or they don't get that, get paid while they're standing trial. And in the case of government officials, if you're found guilty of discrimination, you can't hold any other office again.
I like that.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for giving us a call. I like that. All right, let's go ahead and see if we can get Tyler up here. Let's see if we can get Tyler up here. All right, we got Tyler on Zoom. Go ahead and unmute yourself, Tyler. Okay, I can tell you are in New York. Which borough in?
I'm LA, Jason. I'm LA all day. I'm right around from the fire.
Okay, well, with that jacket on, I'm not going to snitch on it, but I'm like, with that jacket on, I thought for sure you were up there.
Man, Jason, I got a couple things I wanted to hit tonight from LA because I thought about you today when I heard some of the news broadcasts. But first, mine's is deportation until restitution is paid. So you're gonna have to get up out the country, and there's an amount that you're gonna have to pay if you want to come back in. So anybody putting hands on Black people, you're out the country. Deportation. I don't know if you heard, the SBA in California is offering $2 million max loans, 12 months no interest, 12 months no payments. For this is their new homelessness policy, Jason, because all of these homeowners whose house is burnt down, they are technically homeless right now, and you'd be amazed by California's new homelessness policy. So that was one. They're also going to deregulate the rebuilding of buildings. So if you want to rebuild your home in the fire zone again, they're going to cut down the red tape. So they're changing laws for these homeless population. Some of the roads actually have fire in the name, some of the roads that are burning right now. So it's not something that's not known. I still feel for those people, but I'm just saying it's good to stay informed. Also, there's an emphasis right now on the impact of losing your home. So they're really talking about how these people losing their homes impacts them. So when you brought up Tulsa, I was like, okay, so if it's true today, it was true then. So there's so much happening in California right now that once all the air clears, literally the air clears, there's going to be a stark difference in how they're responding to this homelessness crisis compared to the Black homelessness crisis when it's majority us.
You make a very good point there. I don't know if I can find Adam Carolla was talking about that on Fox, I believe. Adam Carolla was talking about that on Fox and talking about how, those rich folk up there, they're always voting Democrat, and what's going to happen, wait till they have to get building permits to rebuild their stuff. And at first you're thinking he's right, but now you're like, okay, well, don't worry, they got the fix in for them to bypass that. Because it's nothing but a bunch of rich white folk up there. There's nothing but a bunch of rich white folk, and they're celebrities and things. So those are your donors in a lot of cases. So yeah, we can change whole laws instantly. Ain't that amazing? So the rest of folk in California can't get any property insurance. Property insurance companies leaving all over the damn place. Oh, well, don't worry. Now we're going to insure these people on the public dime.
The fair plan.
By the way, was this a piece of legislation, or did we miss the legislation? Did they vote on this? Was this a law, or did we miss the legislation?
No. This is Karen Bass saying.
Oh, okay. No legislation required. Oh, no, okay. Well, no studies, no committees, no legislation. No. Oh, okay. Oh, that's amazing. Oh, now for your reparations, we need a couple of years and a bunch of committees, and then we got to go vote for it. Oh, but for this right here, no. No, we can take care of this afternoon. There you
Jason,
go.
They're on TV. These folks have done nothing but ask for resources. They're not asking for scholarships. The fire department, police department, everybody on the news broadcast that's doing these press conferences, not once a study, not once let's convene and have a meeting. None of that nonsense. No scholarships, no vouchers, resources. There was this white lady, Governor Gavin Newsom tried to pull up on scene, do a quick video, get some clout with the video. This white lady pulled up on him so fast and said, "Yo, what you doing for us? Where's the money at?" And then he said, "I'm on the phone right now with the president."
Yeah.
And she said, "Show me your phone." She looked at the phone, wasn't nothing on there. She's not taking no for an answer. She wants those resources, Jason.
Dude, that's what I'm saying. Is like us right here. That's the killing part about it is when we do this, you'll even have some jackasses try to sit up here and tell you about, that don't mean nothing, y'all out there. What y'all think y'all gonna do? These other folk don't operate that. They're not sitting in the back of the damn short bus. The politician shows up, these folks on their necks. The politicians show up, little old woman ran up on them. That's with her little white face mask on, and she's sitting up here interrogating the damn governor. I ain't got to. She let me by. I'm white. Let me by. What you doing? No. Where's the water? Where's the fire hydrants? You on the phone with Trump? Let me see. Give me that damn iPhone. Ma'am, no chill, brother. I saw that video. She ain't got no chill. She said, hand me that damn iPhone. Let me talk
Oh,
to. She
man.
said, "Let me talk to Trump. He ain't answering you. Clearly, he's not doing nothing for you. Let me talk to him." Oh, I'm sorry. He said the president. That would be Biden. So I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Do y'all think Biden is answering any phones anywhere? Do you think he even knows what a phone is right now? So yeah, brother, that's what I'm saying. And we got to be the exact same way. Right there. Folks will see her do it and be like, "That's right, you do that." See us do it. What y'all think y'all gonna get done? So that's the kind of that I'm so glad you brought that up, because that's the attitude that gets that. That's the attitude that makes a difference. When you are not afraid to create some awkward moments and you're not afraid of what folks might think. You're there for your interests, not to make friends or buddies. She didn't make a friend out of Gavin Newsom that day. And she wasn't concerned about making friends. She's like, "My damn house just burned down. I don't need a pen pal. What about my damn house?"
She wasn't caring, Jason. She was ready to punch him in the face. She didn't give a damn about his security. I don't know how you even get that close to the government. We couldn't have got that close.
She white. Oh no, I'm just telling you that. She white. Listen, she just told them, "Let me buy," and they let her buy like she part of the damn entourage. She white, brother. I mean, if you and me had tried that, we getting on the ground in handcuffs. So just the answer to your question, well, she's a white woman. So when we talk about $1 million of whiteness, that was it. Right there. There it is.
Jason, okay, this is the last thing. They have been dropping the fire retardant all day, and I'm literally here. So I'm seeing the planes going. I'm seeing the C-30s going real. It's really strange to see a plane that big go that slow. And then we got the helicopters. They got the one with the double propeller. They got the one with the single propeller. We got people from Utah. We got people from Oregon. I mean, Jason, how fast? They have the resources. You spend the resources. Biden said, "These are my Democratic whatever. I got their back." They put that Hollywood fire out. I've never seen so many helicopters so fast. As an educator, the actual amount of gallons of fuel needed just to keep this going. Forget the manpower. Just the fuel needed. California has plenty of resources. Biden said, "You're covered for the next 6 months. Whatever you need to get this fire fought, plus the recovery, you've got the full backing of the federal government." No study, Jason. B1.
B1, brother. Thank you very much for giving us a call. Absolutely. You got the complexion for the protection. When you got the complexion for the protection, all of a sudden, all of them bull jive and delaying tactics and stalling tactics and excuses they give you, all that gets swept out the way. It's like, man, everything just opens up. Everything just opens up. Let's go ahead and see if we can get, is this Jesse? Producer Jesse, I guess. All right. Go ahead and, I think you're on there, Jesse. Well, I'm waiting for your audio to start. All right, there you go. All right, Jesse, what's on your mind?
All right, Jason. What I want for Black Americans, because I'm not from America, I'm from the Netherlands. What I want for Black Americans is 250 years reparations, at least a few billion a year, every year. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. And in the what's it called? Anti-Black hate crime laws.
Yes, sir.
Now, for that, I want, first of all, the social media, the comment section. That type of racism needs to go. That needs to be punished. Needs to be terminated. If you during the COVID days, if you said something about that vax, my old Instagram got deleted. But if I see
very good
comments about Black people, it never gets deleted. So that's one thing that needs to be fixed. Racism in the workplace, if that happens, that whole company needs to get like some lawsuit. The Black person needs to get his money, because racism is not tolerated in the workplace. Everybody is trying to get theirs. Everybody trying to grind. You let everybody come in, immigrants, you let everybody get their jobs, but you restrict Black men, especially Black men. You don't want them to work. You don't want them to grow. So that needs to be fixed. The police brutality, Any officer violating or killing a black person needs to get a death penalty. Not no life in prison, needs to get a death penalty. That's one thing, because they've been getting away with too much for all these years. So death penalty needs to be a priority for killing black people. So that's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Brother, thank you very much for checking in with us from Netherlands. We appreciate that. That's the kind of conversation we need to have. This, folks, it goes far and wide. My program is worldwide. That was a very good call for us to have. The program is worldwide. You got folk from all over the world. They backing our play. That's exactly what we're talking about. When we set these issues up, your job is to back the play. Once we get the ball in the end zone, that's going to be a win for everybody. So that brother is on code. All around the world, they on code. Let's go ahead and see if I can get Jade up here on Zoom. Let's see if we can get Jade up here. Looking to see Jade. There you go. All right, Jade, go ahead and unmute yourself. Go ahead and unmute yourself, Jade. All right, she's confounded by this newfangled technology. There you
Hello?
go. All right, I thought we lost you for a minute there. All right, Jade, and what do you say?
Hi, good evening. I would like to say that I want to see something specific done in the medical field when it comes to our children, and not just the medical field, but something when it comes to our children for their futures and the protection of their futures. Like what happened in Virginia with that nurse in the hospital, breaking those babies' bones, is unacceptable. So I would like to see something along the lines of that.
Okay. Was there anything else, or that was just the one?
That was just the one. I couldn't think of anything else, but I'm really honing in on that. Our children need to be protected.
Very good point. White supremacy has always targeted the children since the very beginning. It has always been their primary target. Emmett Till was one of the worst examples of it, but that's always been their primary warfare. They're asymmetrical. They go after your helpless. They go after the babies. They go after the elderly. They go after the handicapped, the mentally, emotionally handicapped. They don't go after the robust people. They go after soft targets. And there's no softer target than an infant.
Right. So I would definitely like to see something in the bill that has specifics on children and their future and the medical field in general, the way that children and Black women are being treated in the medical field, and not just, all of us.
Okay, good point. Thank you very much for checking in with us, Jay. We appreciate that. Let me go ahead and see if I can get Flex up here on Zoom. I got a dozen folk up here. Let me go ahead and see if I can run through y'all. Let me go ahead and see if I can get Flex up here on Zoom. Waiting for Flex to get that connected for me here, Flex. We can't wait all evening for you. All right, there you go, Flex. What's on your mind, brother? What'd you say?
My 3 bullets. My first bullet is lawsuits for anyone or company using racial slurs or being prejudiced against Black people. Life sentence for any life sentence for anybody trying to assassinate any armed or unarmed Black persons. And equity, I would like to see equity. That means any Black persons coming to the bank to try and get funding to buy a house, start a business, purchase cars, etc. So that's all I got.
All right, thank you very much, brother. We appreciate that. Let's go ahead and see if I can get Calvin. All right, let's go ahead and see if we can grab Calvin up here on Zoom. All right, we got Calvin on Zoom. I'm looking for Calvin here. Wake up, Calvin. There you go. All right, Calvin, what is on your mind? What do you say?
We need to protect our lives. We need to protect our properties, and we need to protect intellectual properties. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight here. Calvin is just waking up, but we appreciate that. Let's go ahead and see if we can get Gordon here on Zoom. Let's go ahead and see if we can get Gordon here on Zoom. There you go, Gordon. All right, Gordon, what do you say? What would you like to see?
How you doing?
What would you like to see?
All right. First of all, I want to see law enforcement officers.
Turn off your speakers, brother. Turn off your YouTube, man. You got this echoing. Turn off your YouTube, man. You got this echoing.
All right, sorry about that.
Got this echoing.
All right, sorry about that.
Got this echoing. All right, sorry about that. Okay, y'all. Hopefully he can get his granddaughter to come over and help him with this newfangled technology. Let's go ahead and see if we can get to Juice over here on Zoom. Let's see if we can get Juice up here on Zoom. Give you a couple more seconds here. Juice, we're waiting. All right, there you go. Go ahead and unmute yourself, sir.
Hey, family.
All right, brother. Why do you look like an episode of Dexter?
Yeah,
all right. Well, what do you say, brother?
I'm good. I just wanted to shout out you, family, again. And I just wanted to appreciate the fact that you guys are delineating and showing the rest of the world how to move in this corrupt system. So before I salute you and the other brothers that are out here in the black media.
Well, let me find out here, brother. We were asking tonight here about a black hate crime bill. And I was asking about 3 things that you all would like to see in it. 3 things that you say must be in it.
In the black crime bill?
Yes, in the black anti-hate crime bill. What would you like? 3 things you would like to see in it?
Oh, well, I mean, for sure we have to, first of all, I mean, we have to look at the laws and make sure that those hypocritical laws are not only looked at, but make sure that they are enforced in a way that they benefit black people in the way that they should be. So when I say that, I mean, when you talk about things that happen for the civil rights movement and things that go along with that, a lot of things that supposedly had to have benefited black people have not. So we have to make sure those things are corrected. You know, I think those things need to be rectified. And then in terms of reparations, the black people in America more than deserve reparations. I don't understand how that's even an issue in terms of how it's been looked at, you know? So it's almost like these are things that they almost shouldn't be discussed, brother, in terms of like how we know about these things going on. I feel like these things are
non-negotiable.
Yeah, fam.
I definitely agree with that. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight, brother. Let me go ahead and get Black Powder Podcast up here. Let me go ahead and see if I can get Black Powder Podcast up here. He's been going hard in the paint for us as well also this week, so we appreciate that. We definitely appreciate that as well. All right, Black Powder Podcast, what do you say?
I got 3 things. One of them has happened across my mind recently because of Sonia Massey. Her killer was let loose. So I'd say that if you were to cause harm or in the life of a black person or just do anything racially motivated in general, you are now not only subject to be given a life sentence, but if they want to play that game, to prevent them from moving to another state or county, whatever, you are now locked into that city. You cannot leave. They do it with regular criminals. They can do it with the police. Second thing is, God, I had it. As far as lending and everything, because it goes beyond the police as well. Black people are discriminated against lenders and bankers and so on and so forth. So if there is any kind of discrimination against a black person who might be trying to get like a simple loan or whatever, that bank can be subject to court fines or fees or just basically punishment via the court due to that racial discrimination. And the last thing was, it might be rare, but if there are actually good police officers out there that are actually trying to stand up for black people and stop somebody who, their fellow officer who is trying to discriminate against a black person, that police officers should also be given a chance to not only have their court case combined with the person who's being discriminated against, but also be awarded some type of payment as well, due to the fact that they're actually trying to do right. Perfect example: the police officer who was up in the was it January 6th, whenever the riots happened. People are demonizing him, but he's actually a hero. So those are my three things.
All right. Thank you very much, brother. We appreciate that. Let's go ahead and see if we can get Joe here. Joe 617. Let's go ahead and see if we can get up Joe 617. I'll give you a few moments here, Joe. We're waiting to see Joe 617 here. There you go. All right, Joe, and what do you say?
I say we have to deal with these Karens and these swatting calls that either cause Black people harm or just get them tied up with arrest or any inconveniences. So there should be like a minimum of 5 years for anyone who tries to misuse the police to make a false accusations. So a false accusation charge, minimum 5 years. There should be, of course, like most people are saying, any police or officials who harm a Black person should get life in prison or the death penalty. You know, if they cause it death, obviously a life for a life. And I had another one. I didn't write it down, so I lost my thought with the third one.
Okay, well, thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. Good list there. Let me go ahead and see if I can get Brother Elijah up here on Zoom. All right, we got Brother Elijah on Zoom. What do you say, brother?
All right, brother. I'm gonna get straight into the point. Let me just say, in modern times, to preface what I'm saying, most of the hate crimes today is mostly coming from law enforcement. So I just want to just deal with law enforcement. All right, my first one is you kill a. I agree with Onan. He took the thought out my brain. I do agree with Onan. You kill a Black person, automatic life in prison, due to the simple fact that in New York State, they ruled in 1962 the death penalty was unconstitutional. So it's just life in prison without the possibility of parole, plus restitution. Second one, you commit what is called attempted murder, aka shooting an unarmed Black man, and he lives 55 years to life. All right, plus restitution. Where did I get that from? A Black man who attemptedly killed a police officer in Suffolk County, Long Island. He was sentenced to 55 years to life. The third one is adapting the Good Samaritan law. No, excuse me. You know, I'm gonna leave that one alone. Assault. Any assault from a law enforcement official on a Black person, okay, it should carry a minimum of 7 years, maximum 10 years, plus restitution. All right. That comes from, I got that from the MTA, where you assault a bus driver. New York state law passed, that's up to 7 years in prison. So I just want to do it on steroids. No, let's just say a minimum of 7 years, maximum 10. All right. Please correct me if I'm wrong on anything, big brother.
The only thing that I might have a difference in is when you say that most hate crimes are committed by the police.
Okay, please.
Certainly the police, and New York has the largest police department in America, but
yes, sir.
I would think numerically, with the definition of what would comprise a hate crime, certainly the police are the highest profile, certainly because they have a license to kill.
Yes, sir.
But hate crimes do not necessarily require you to die, which is the real thing. Also, the police are usually, the things we're complaining about most are usually opportunistic. They're usually an outgrowth of something else. So something else happens and then the police show up. And now you've been targeted, and now they have an opportunity to do things. So that's the only. Other than that, I mean, there's no answers. You all can't give any wrong answers. You're being asked for your opinion, so that's like me asking you what's your favorite color. There is no right or wrong answer. That's what you come up with. But if I did have one thing, that would be the only one. But that doesn't make you wrong.
Well, big brother, can I add to that? You know why I made that statement? You're the grandmaster teacher and I'm the student, but I just want to give you a little precedent for why I said that with the hate crime. The reason being, I'm a semi-lifelong New Yorker. I remember the Bloomberg days. I remember just walking or waiting for a bus, not just me, but any Black person I would see, the constant stop and frisk. That was not a call. Most of the time, that was, hey, the police just want to catch a brother with a weapon on him so they can throw us, so try to fill them jails up. That's why I said, okay, let's just target them. I get what you're saying, big brother, but because of the stop and frisk that they committed all those years, that's where I got that from.
Okay. Well, I mean, certainly that's a valid observation as well. So
yes, sir.
That does definitely apply. A lot of cities are not laid out the way New York is. So stop and frisk works in a place like New York. Doing it in other cities can be difficult because you don't have as many people packed into an area and public transit and stuff like that. Not to say what you're saying is wrong, but I can see why you're saying that. So stop and frisk is certainly a valid case of the police being given the ability to just arbitrarily walk up to somebody and violate their rights. So
yeah,
good point. Good point. Let me go ahead and see if I can get Jesse up here on Zoom. Let's go ahead and see if we can get Jesse on Zoom. See if we can give Jesse a few moments here. We're waiting for that. Waiting for Jesse here on Zoom. I can give you about 5 more seconds, Jesse, and then we're going to have to move on. So, Jesse, I can give you about 5 more seconds, and I got to move on, Jesse.
Good evening, Jason. Can you hear me?
All right, Jesse, we got you here on Zoom, and which of the 3 you like to have?
I would like the language to be codified. So, Foundation of Black Americans, Center of American Child Slavery Freedmen, codified into law. I also would like for them to do away with the proved intent. Currently, you have to prove intent on part of the perpetrator to prove it's a hate crime. I would like to see an end of qualified immunity. No pensions, no unemployment, no paid leave. They cannot be rehired in another district or another department or another state. They basically are blacklisted. They lose their license. They can't become a sheriff either. So sometimes I move from the police department to the sheriff's department. No more of that. They get a minimum of, like the brother said previous to me, brother Elijah, 55 years to life for murdering the FBA, armed or unarmed, man or a woman or a child. Apply this to all other institutions, so all 9 areas of human activity, so economics, entertainment, education, labor, law, politics, sex, war, and religion. A Karen Act, a Lending Act to end the discrimination against our people and the false calls to the police to get our people killed. An anti-Black, anti-defamation league, and our own racially reporting system, like somebody previously said, and something to protect us from intellectual theft, our businesses, and our homes.
Okay, good call. Good call. Let me go ahead and see if I can get Kirk up here on Zoom. Let me see if I can get Kirk here on Zoom. Kirk. All right, we got Kirk here on Zoom. And what do you say, Kirk?
Yeah, hey, Jason, great broadcast as always. I only have one point. All the other callers made some great points, so I don't want to be repetitive. I think about who the largest spreaders of anti-hate are and where it comes from. I mean, social media is obviously really a place where it really helps fester anti-Black hate. So I'd like to see something that addresses that, be it like, for example, X. If there are anti-Black hate posts on X, maybe you take away their license. I mean, you've been demonetized and kicked off different payment networks, I imagine, right? So that should happen at a company level for some of these platforms. I'd also like to think one major piece I think should be included is stripping citizenship. So someone like Elon Musk, he doesn't care if certain social media profiles are deleted from a platform, but maybe he'll take it more seriously if he himself is at risk of getting his citizenship stripped if he starts spreading anti-black hateful rhetoric through his social media platform. So I think that aspect of it, I think
Okay, he kind of lost his signal there, but I think we get that. All right, let's go ahead and see if we can get Michael up here on Zoom. Let's see if we can get Michael on Zoom. Okay, let's see if we can get Michael here on Zoom. Waiting for Michael here. I can give you about 5 more seconds, Michael, and then we're going to have to move on. So let me get Michael here on Zoom. All right, there you go, Michael. And what 3 would you like to see?
There you go, Michael.
Turn off your speakers.
The first one is going to be, of course, what the hell? The first one is going to be, of course, sorry about that. The first one is going to be, of course, ending qualified immunity. Also attached to that, also police officers lose their post certification. And the next one, when it comes down to businesses, they lose their ability to do business in the state of New York. And my last one, in event of death, of course, do a life sentence, and I would say in event of death or any type of like sexual, violations, of course, a life sentence, and anything outside of that, I'll say just do like a mandatory minimum of like at least like 40 or 50 years or something like that. But definitely a life sentence, bare minimum, for in the death of the FBA.
All right, thank you very much for giving us a call. Let's go ahead and see if we can get Harag up here on Zoom. Let's see if we can get Harag here on Zoom. All right, there you go, Harag. And which 3 would you like to see?
I would make it real simple. I would have the same exact hate crime bills they have for sodomites, for the small hats, for white women. Copy and paste that, just Control C and make that for us.
Short, simple, to the point. Thank you very much for giving us a call. He said it was going to be real simple. He was right. He got right to it. Can't say I argue with that one very much at all. All right, let's go ahead and see if we can get Ashley up here on Zoom. Let me get Ashley here on Zoom. I don't think she was ready to be there. There she is. All right, Ashley. If you be ready, you don't have to get ready. And which 3 would you like to see, Ashley?
My 3 are going to be revoking the license for misconduct and lose the ability to work in law enforcement in the state or in another state. A mandatory 25 years for misconduct, death penalty for any resulting deaths or sexual misconduct. And then lastly, the end of qualified immunity and civil penalties paid by the police union as opposed to tax dollars. Those are my 3.
All right. Thank you very much for weighing in. Let's go ahead and see if we can get iPhone here. Let's try to see if we can get iPhone here. All right. We got iPhone here on Zoom. And which 3 would you like to see?
Yeah, this is Jacoby Demisi from Portland, Oregon. I would like to see capital punishment based on certain situations if resulting in death, like what we saw up there in New York. I would like to see the politicians punished and their families punished because they benefit off the suffering of foundational Black Americans as well. Too many times we see a lot of these buck dancing coons and tethers like to be superstars, Jasmine Crockett. And I would like to see some punishment handed down, and I'll leave it as that.
All right, brother. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. We appreciate that. Let me go ahead and see if I can get Frank up here on Zoom. Let me see if I can get Frank here on Zoom. Waiting on Frank here on Zoom, waiting for his Zimbabwe broadband to get started. All right, we got Frank here on Zoom. And which three would you like to see, Frank?
So for me, the first one that I'll put on there would be extra enhancements for any mass killers that kill any Black person in their mass killing, because sometimes you have situations where Black people happen to be around. So if a Black person gets killed as a result of a mass killer, whether or not they were targeting Black people as a group, then I feel like a hate crime enhancement should be added to that. The second thing would be for especially non-Black parents who adopt Black children. If it is discovered that the Black parents have been harming or the children in any way, then that should be an automatic hate crime also.
That's an interesting one. Now that's an interesting one right there. I hadn't heard anybody suggest that one. That's a very interesting one. We talk about protecting Black children. That's an avenue and dimension to it that I don't think most folk thought about. Very interesting. Go on.
And then the last one, again, with regards to kids, sometimes, kids, even in elementary school, middle school, they take bullying to a whole other level, especially these white kids, because they believe they can get away with anything. And so sometimes it goes beyond what you would consider just a character building, especially even for like your high school kids. Sometimes, they go playing with your white friends, and then next thing you know, he gets killed because they pushed him in the water and then he drowned, that kind of thing. So I feel, and also hair discrimination against Black female children in school. So I think that anything like that goes beyond what you would consider reasonable should be considered a anti-Black hate crime law and have enhancements. And those are my three.
Thank you very much for giving us a call. That was a good one there. That was good. Let me go ahead and see if we can get Joe up here on Zoom. We're looking for Joe. See if we can get Joe up here on Zoom for us. All right, we got Joe on Zoom. And which three would you like to see, Joe?
Hey, Mr. Black. I would like to see a use of certain verbiage. So probably at the beginning of the document, they would put something where it specifically references Black in the document pertaining to FBA lineage folks, because we do understand, like the brother said before, non-FBA people do commit anti-Black hate crime bills, and I can see where they can kind of weasel their way out of these types of hate crime things by just adding that in there as a modifier. Also, extended mandatory minimums. So I heard everybody talking about the mandatory minimums on all the crimes. Shout out. Sure, absolutely. But we should definitely have an amplifier for children, because they do like to attack the weak, and there should be like some type of mandatory minimum amplifier when pertaining to children or folks that are underage, because that can damage them for their futures. And oftentimes they don't, the psychological damage from that is very, very drastic, as well as restitution payouts. And finally, I would like to see something for the institutions. So when people have to have some sort of lawsuit for racial discrimination or anything of that nature, there will be a clause for one, minimum restitution, and or some sort of amplifier that allows them to enact a class action lawsuit. Because if these institutions did one crime against a Black person, we already know that they did it multiple times already before throughout their history.
Okay, thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. Let's go ahead and see if we can get Thomas here on Zoom. Let me go ahead and see if we can get Thomas. Let's see if we can get Thomas here on Zoom. Thomas, let me go ahead and make sure you have your camera and your microphone turned on for me. I can give you about 5 seconds to go ahead and do that, and then we got to move on. So let's go ahead and see if we can get Thomas here on Zoom. Okay, Thomas, and which three would you like to see?
Good evening, family. One of the first things I've been concerned about was automatic harsher penalties for these manifesto writers. Got to pull them on the carpet about that nonsense. The second one.
Now that's an interesting one you would name there. So I just want to take a moment to re-examine that. So basically, you're saying like targeting the people who are the would-be ideological godfathers of these things, the ideological thought leaders who leak these ideas out there for the purposes of other people latching onto it and acting on it. Okay, I like that.
Yep. Next one is same crime with a black person involved. Guess what? Harsher penalties. Since they're using that against us, let's flip it on them. You're a police officer, you did something against a black person, and it happened twice in a row. We need to make you famous. So full disclosure of the officer's records immediately. And a black grand jury established in neighborhoods for every community. Every courthouse should have a black grand jury set aside. So when it's a black person involved, we got our protection at least in place.
You came up with some novel concepts tonight, brother. That's very interesting. A black grand jury. Those are some novel ideas. Though that would be something I think that's deserving of a broader discussion. Can't really do that here tonight, but I think those are some novel ideas you came with here tonight, especially that one. I think that's deserving of some broader thought. I'll keep that in mind. Interesting. Let me go ahead and see if I can get Karen here on Zoom. The only Karen I actually like. All right.
Yay.
And what three would you like to see, Karen?
My first one is some type of, because I know they get psych evaluations, but somebody who deals with the racial portion of it so we can weed out these white supremacists, according to that FBI study that let us know that the white supremacists were in the law enforcement community. That's one. I wanted all in law for the law enforcement who stand by while the Black people are being murdered. Like those people that were standing around posing for that picture while they murdered that man, all those people, everybody in the room who didn't stop it. Immediate termination for law enforcement who murder unarmed, nonviolent Black people, no possibility of rehire in law enforcement anywhere. And a bonus is to study the signs and symbols of white supremacists, like their tattoos, take their clothes off and see you have a background in this, that you always hated Black people. Somehow that always slips by. That's mine.
When you go into prison or something like that, they're looking for folk for gang tattoos and whatnot, but in law enforcement, they're not doing the exact same thing. And we've caught them and found them all over the place with that.
Exactly.
Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. We appreciate that. Very good points to have there. Let me go ahead and see if I can get Brandy here on Zoom. Let me see if I can get Brandy up on Zoom. Okay, I'm waiting to see Brandy here. I'm seeing a wonderful white wall here. Brandy, I'm looking for you, Brandy. I can give you 5 more seconds and then I got to move on. So Brandy, waiting here for Brandy on Zoom. It is full night. Best friend. The boy is mine. The girl is gone. All right, let's go ahead and see if we can get iPhone 2 up here on Zoom. There you go. All right, iPhone 2. All right, let me see here. Waiting for iPhone 2's audio to connect there. Waiting to get that together. I'm waiting for their audio to connect. It says it can't hear me yet. Waiting for the audio to connect. There you go. All right, iPhone 2. And what is your name?
In law enforcement anywhere.
Okay, iPhone 2, you are on. Lady with the red and black top with the glasses on, you are on.
Good evening, Jason.
Okay, what is your name, ma'am?
My name is Susan. I'm sorry that you didn't.
Hello, Susan. In the words of Whitney Houston, my name is not Susan. All right. And what are the 3 you would like to see, Susan?
Police need federal accountability for their actions, remuneration for damages to FBA, and prosecution to the fullest extent of the law, meaning that they don't get a pass, as our president has presently done.
Okay. Short, simple, to the point. Thank you very much for giving us a call. Let me go ahead and see if I can get North. Let's see if we can go ahead and get North up here on Zoom. Waiting to see North here. Okay, North, you got a lot going on with your blue screen. You are upside down and inside out. Okay, North, I'm waiting for them to get that taken care of here. At least I can give another moment for that. He's all blurry and things. All right, that's a little bit better. There you go. All right, North, what are the three you'd like to see?
Hey, brother, nothing new. I mean, I'm not gonna say, I came in a little late, so what I haven't heard yet is something like, you know how they have a sex offenders list? They need to put these people on the black offenders list. So just how if I'm moving into a new town, I can see if there are any sex offenders in that area where I'm moving to. I need to be able to see if there's if there are a lot of black offenders in that area that I'm moving to. I don't think I've heard that yet, but that was it, man.
Now there's another novel idea there.
Yeah.
These are things that they're already doing, so to expand it to this would be a very small step to take. So that's a utilization we hadn't heard before.
Yep.
And it would certainly let people know. Now that's a good way of saying it. It will also put people on alert. Hello, I'm your local white supremacist. I'm moving in down the street.
Exactly.
I just thought you'd like to know I've been harming black folk, and I'm Officer Daniel Pantaleo. I'll be moving in down the street from you. So
exactly.
Hi, I'm George Zimmerman. I'll be renting an apartment upstairs. So
exactly.
Tell the kids come by for Halloween.
Right, and we'll have full, like you say, you see with your eyes wide open. So if you choose to move to that area that has all those little dots by it, you got those little dots by it that has the black offenders. Okay, that's your choice. You move them in the area.
Yeah, like Ben Affleck in The Town. If you're gonna go over there, it's like, at least you have some. I'm just saying, if you see a bunch of red dots in one there, it's like, oh, that's the white supremacist kicking spot over there.
Exactly. I don't know if you want to move over there, brother. I just checked that area, that zip code out.
Yeah, what they say?
That area over there.
They got efficiency apartments. Okay, bro, the rent might be lower, but
yeah,
your next door neighbor is Darren Wilson. Very good point. That's a good one right there. That's a good one. I like that one. We've had some novel ideas, some outside the box stuff, and the way folks are thinking, they're using things that are already on the books as precedent. So they're utilizing things that are already set as precedent because they're already on the books, and you can just expand this to something else. So, like that. Let me go ahead and see if I can check out Antonio. Let me go ahead and see if we can get Antonio up here on Zoom. Antonio.
Jason, how you doing, brother?
Antonio, and what's the three you would like to see?
So I got them written down. So my first is I want to see Black American branch, our own branch in every police department. We police ourselves, much like the Native Americans do, and ironically the Chinese, who had a police station in New York actually. But also, I would like to see police officers required to have bachelor's degrees and a license subject to suspension, much like a doctor's license or a nurse's license, when you cause harm to your patients or to the people that you're servicing. And I think third, it would be anti-FBA hate crime bill equipped with most of those things, especially that black grand jury. That was killer right there when he said that black grand jury. I've been thinking that forever. Is like, why don't we, have more say over our own, legal kind of destiny in this country, So I think those are my three though that I got.
Okay, I like that. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. Folks would ask me what I would think there. My only issue is if I start naming off things, people might be more inclined to, congregate around those as opposed to considering a bunch of other things there. So I don't want to ruin those things. If I were to name one, I would just name right now, the only one that I will say I'll put myself next to is the one that I've already talked about before. I bought billboards for that. False allegations involving law enforcement would become a felony. If you make a false allegation that involves law enforcement, that's a felony. It's not a misdemeanor. It's not a slap on the wrist. If you make a false allegation and at any time, at any point along the way, your false allegation involves, law enforcement get involved and you've made a false allegation, you are now guilty of a felony. And that there should be sex crime enhancements. What? So this idea that you can go scream rape and the way we go is, oh, no. If you scream rape and it's a false allegation, not only is it a felony, but it's a felony with a sex crime enhancement. Now it's a felony with a sex crime enhancement. That right there, in a lot of ways, you have now really diffused the police apparatus from going up on innocent black people who are not doing anything. Okay, because what you've just done is you've removed the ability to deputize the average white supremacist citizen. By making false allegations a felony, you've just diffused the ability to deputize the average white citizen. If they're going to do something, they're going to have to jump up and do it on their own, but now they're not protected. If they can't get law enforcement in as backup, so they're not going to be able to utilize that little strategy where they make an allegation and, well, don't worry, the system comes to back me up. It's like, no, if it's a false allegation, you're already knee deep off in the felony. So I can name a number of different things, school admins facilitating the bullying of black children, the fact that you are still seeing a whole lot of redlining occur, that type of economic targeting, when you're giving out loans to everybody else except black folk, because when you're a bank, you have a charter, you have a federal charter, you have a state charter. That moving that out of the domain of civil offense and moving that into the domain of criminal offense. That if you're financially discriminating, that is not a civil offense, that's a criminal offense. So I could actually keep going here and stuff. I don't want to do that because folks might aggregate around just those, and I want you to equally consider everything in that regard. But I would just name those as a couple of things. Those are just a couple of things I would throw out there and offer up. But beyond that, I think we had a number of things here. What I'm going to do when tonight's program is over, in the comments section for tonight's video, for those of you who listen to it recorded, please don't sit up here and post your manifestos. You can put up 3 very brief bullet points. Make it real brief. It's not here for you to write your books. And finally, black folks will read this. Everybody need to read my chapters. Trust me, you're not helping yourself. So in the comments section, after this is live and after this is posted, you can go ahead and in the comments section, I want you to go ahead and just post your 3 or the 3 things that you would like to see. And this is something that we'll be following up on. This is something that we will be following up on. I know a lot of you were thinking Jason ain't really this serious about it. Yes, Jason is dead ass serious about it. I absolutely am. And we've been following up on it. And let me say once again, I have not been alone. Not at all. I have not been alone. Sage has been leading the charge on this. Karen, one brother, Kim, who immigrated down from Canada, and didn't say anything. Rhonda, give me all kinds of hell. Damn. Miss Funny Lady, give me all kinds of damn hell, by the way. So I had a whole squad of them out there earlier this week. They were on point. It was exactly what you're looking for here. I'm humbled by that, by the way. It's never just me. It's never been just me. I am just the messenger. All of you are the message I came to bring. So, of course, I'm going to do my part. So this week was I was humbled and honored to have the opportunity to do something. I've had a lot of training and being able to get some attention on short notice. Don't necessarily need to have a large crowd of people, but what it does signify the focus that you are dead ass serious and that you're not joking. Another thing that gets folks' attention is that we're not funded by George Soros or the Heritage Foundation or Fox News or any of these other low-key groups or whatever. We're not getting our money from a bunch of other folk there. We're funding this ourselves. We're doing this ourselves. So a new player has entered the chat. A new player has entered the game. And this is a person here they're an independent agent. They're not beholden to anybody. They're a freelance. They got the ability to move exactly the way they do. They're not looking to sit up here and get signed up to your clubs. They're not looking to sit up here and get a preferred parking space at your buildings. We came for something else. And we're actually willing to put some muscle behind that hustle. So this week has been a bellwether moment for that, but please understand, I know a lot of y'all thought I was joking about it. Please understand, we're not done. We're not done at all. They're dragging their feet on the Robert Brooks situation, but I'm here to tell y'all, this is good. What? Oh yes, this is good. The longer that they drag their feet on this, the more time that they give us to talk to people, hit folk up, galvanize people, hit up other politicians, get folk on the record, get them to say who with it and who ain't. The longer they drag their feet, the more time they're giving us. I see you, Rhonda. The more they drag their feet, the more time they're giving us. Please understand that. They're giving us more time. If they actually just went ahead and did what they're supposed to do, maybe it'd be a little bit different. But the longer they drag their feet, the longer this remains an ongoing issue. The longer it remains an ongoing issue, the more time that we have to blow it up even bigger. And we will continue to do so. I reiterate to you all again, I know after all this time, a lot of you, sometimes it's hard. Attention spans can be short. You've been conditioned by social media and all these things to sit up here and expect stuff to get done within 30 minutes or within the time of a sitcom or within an hour when you're watching cable TV. But this is a marathon, not a sprint. And this is a crusade, not a campsite. And it takes time. And it's never as fast as any of us would like it to be. But this is about who can be more relentless and who can be more determined. And we've been doing this now going on 2 decades. Man, ain't nobody going to outlast us. No one's going to outlast us. And let me be clear, we are going to keep going until we have legislation. We are going to keep pressing until we have legislation. We are going to keep going until we have legislation. Please understand that. Very important. Some of these folks here, they're wondering what's going to happen. They're wondering what's going to occur. We're going to make things happen. You've already tried to give it to your media. You saw what those other folks are talking about. You don't have the ability to do that. You don't have the ability to do that. We chose a target in California before. You take a look what happened. Now we're choosing a target in New York. And they're expecting that this is going to be a momentary thing that's going to come and go, and they'll just ignore it and it'll just go away. Not so easily. Not so easily. But I want to thank all of you for your help. Thank all of you for your dedication, for your focus. I want to say shout out here to people like James Mitchell there in the super chat, to my man, Mr. Richburg, Mr. Gilmore, Mark B, Mr. Marshall, and everybody else here who has contributed on super chat, PayPal, Venmo, all of y'all out there. It's been a week here. There's been a winter storm. It's been cold. You heard the assemblywoman talking about they were out there in the cold. I know what you're going through. I know what you're seeing. I know what you're going through. I know what you're seeing. It is not easy. I had folk who drove up to New York in the snow. I mean, folks are putting their health on the line. They're putting their health and their safety on the line. This is how dedicated you are. And I want you to understand that when you got that kind of dedication and that kind of focus, if that's how determined you are, that right after a holiday, you like, I'm not taking no days off. I don't give a damn about the freezing cold, the rain, the sleet, the flooding, the fires, the storms, anything else that's going on, terrorists running over people. We gonna be here. When you've got that kind of focus and that kind of determination, when you are that uncompromising, it's not a matter of if. Please understand, it is not that kind of focus and determination. You winning is not a matter of if, this is just a matter of time. It's just a matter of time. That's all it's going to be. Just a matter of time. We're going to go ahead and wrap things up here tonight. For those of you who've been wondering here, I'm going to put up an update here soon. I'm going to have 8 a.m.s. Remember, I was going back to go do another edit of 8 a.m. and some of the other stuff I'm doing here. I'm waiting for something. When I do, I'm going to be announcing some other things here. I don't give a damn. I had to order a piece of equipment from China. What? So I'm not going to get off deep into the woods of it. Jason, what's been the holdup? I've had to order it. I know. See, what happened was, I know it's going to sound unlikely. I had to order a piece of equipment from China. There was a small piece of equipment that I had a bigger piece of equipment that I was going to be using for what I was going to do. They left a piece of it out. I waited too damn long, apparently, to figure out it wasn't there. By the time I figured out it wasn't there, all I could do is try to order another one. It's taken forever, but hopefully I'll have this done soon. But yeah, I've been waiting for a piece to show up from someplace in China and should be getting that here momentarily. And once that's done, the other stuff I was planning on doing, then I can go ahead and do that. So the final edit for 8 a.m., I'm looking to have that done this week and things. Then after that, looking to see if I can have DVDs and stuff out by Black History Month. That's what I'm really looking for there. Thank you so much to everyone for your patience. Just everything in the world seems to be happening, everything everywhere all at once. But I want to thank you for that. And then on top of that, I'm still trying to make things happen out here on the streets. Folks are lynching black folk, and I'm still trying to get things done 5, 6, 8, 10 states away. So, you know, it's not easy. But then again, black empowerment is worth it. So I want to thank all of you for your dedication, your patience while we're doing this. And I'm trying to get as much done in as many places as I possibly can. I'm only one person, but I'm trying to be 5 or 6. So this week we started something. I intend for us to continue going with it. So New York, expect to be seeing a lot more. New York City, expect to be seeing a lot more of us. How can we help? You're already doing it. You're here. When I give the word again, how can we help when I give the word again? This week, I did a program in the middle of the day. Y'all were lighting up phones. Let me tell y'all, we got some folks' attention this week. Please understand that. We got some people's attention this week. We made phone calls. We lit things up. I'm just letting you all know, quiet is kept. We got people's attention this week. We got people's attention this week, and now they're saying, I'll be damned. How are we going to make this right-wing pivot? And y'all are watching. And you're going to wait until after the election to put the spotlight on us? You're damn right. So this week was just the start. We are going to continue going. Folks are going to have an opportunity to establish themselves as heroes or villains. Ain't that right, Mr. Dillon? And everything is going to come to pass. But I want to thank all of you for your dedication, for your commitment. For those of you who have been watching this, for those of you, I didn't ask for anybody to contribute financially. I did not ask for it, but it just shows you what the family is about. They're about that life. They're about that business. I never asked for anything, and they still stepping up regardless. They're like, damn, Jason, he gonna get this anyway. So that's my people. You want to know what it is that fuels me? You want to know what it is that keeps me steadfast? You want to know what it is that keeps me optimistic, if I can be, and dedicated to this? That does. That does. I'm not by myself, and I never have been. That's what keeps me focused and dedicated. That's what keeps me hardened and encouraged. And I'm determined that there is nothing I'm going to ask of you that I myself wouldn't do twice as much. So thank you all for your support. Thank you for your dedication. We're just getting started. If you are new here to the Black Channel, welcome to the haven of intelligent Black thought. We do this every weekend, holidays, days in between. Your favorite or least favorite politicians will be hearing from us one way or another. Click that red subscribe button. Click that yellow notification bell. Join us each and every time that we are here. If you haven't been to our website, blackchannelfilms.com, keep up with that for our groundbreaking best-selling documentary work, blackchannelfilms.com. That is blackchannelfilms.com. I want to thank all of you for tuning in to tonight's program, live or recorded. Thank you for liking, subscribing, and sharing. Thank you for supporting. Thank you for being a part of this. And thank you for allowing me to be your messenger of your message. And this concludes tonight's broadcast of the Black Channel. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, the Black Authority. And until next time, my brothers and my sisters from around the world, remember, Black is the future, and the future is